Hello, everybody. I'm John Felt. Welcome to the NCGA FMC Ag Weather Outlook. Well, we're now in November 7th, 2015. I don't know about you, but time seems to go faster and faster for me. Anyway, let's take a look at soil moisture. I always find soil moisture interesting, even throughout the cool months, even if not a whole lot's going on. Gives us some idea of if we're building up any deficits or surpluses that we might need to build upon or reduce as we get into spring. Anyway, right now it looks like from the central and eastern corn belt we still have dry anomalies. These are indicated in yellow. These are areas we could use some rainfall. We have plenty of time to make those up, so I'm not overly concerned at this time. Over the upper Midwest, generally you can see a little bit above or a little bit below, so we're in pretty good shape right now. Overall, I'm not too concerned. We could use a little bit more precipitation from eastern Missouri across Illinois and Indiana, parts of Michigan and Ohio, but are overall doing okay. Now, the wet anomalies, though, are over the southern tier of the U.S., and that is somewhat like an El Nino type pattern from New Mexico, Texas, and then across Louisiana, and then the southeast U.S. But so far, actually, this looks, even the dry spot over Missouri, looks like it's beginning to maybe get a little bit more like that El Nino pattern. So let's keep an eye on that. And if those anomalies over Illinois, Indiana, maybe extending a little bit further down into Kentucky with time, if those persist, then that very well could be that El Nino type pattern we'd expect over the cold months. Now, if you want to see how it's changed over the last 30 days, here we go. Blue is indicating where soils have gotten wetter, and brown's where it's gotten drier. And those areas in red up along the Missouri River and then across southern Illinois, that's where soils have really pretty drastically dried out over the last 30 days. But I see a lot of brown, and that's indicating over the last 30 days the trend has really been a drying of soils over most of the Midwest. Now, over the last 7 days, there was a bit of precipitation, but for the most part, it was quite light. Green is up to an inch of rain, so parts of the state of Illinois and scattered areas along the Ohio River had some mainly needed rainfall. Over the upper Midwest, just very light amounts. At the central Midwest, no rain at all. So when we look at percent of normal, we see a lot more red, white, and yellow, which is indicating below normal. Then we do see green or blue, which is indicating above normal. I did want to focus your attention further to the south. I know I have some listeners in that region, and you can see very heavy widespread rain over parts of the southeast U.S. over the last week. Red is indicating estimates of 5 inches of rain. Now, temperatures last week, we're getting some variability, and that's what you would definitely expect in November. We're also getting more vigorous type systems. And I've talked about a secondary severe weather season. We had tornadoes in Texas, so we're in that secondary severe weather season. And the impact in the Midwest is not so much severe weather, although we can have that. There were thunderstorms last week here and there. But it's more that we start getting more transition in temperature. Now, last week we averaged above normal over the entire corn growing region, Midwest, and we see areas of red up in the upper Midwest, which is unusually warm. Now, let's take a look at the outlook here. The jet stream, we see this area of brown, and as you know by now, that means the jet stream is anchored a bit above normal, and this is an average for the week, and that would normally mean temperatures should average a bit above normal. Now, in the middle of the week, we do have a fairly vigorous system. We are starting to get this. I wouldn't be surprised once a week now we start getting these systems, and this is that transition. We'll gradually be bringing some colder air down. But until that comes in, especially early this week, we're going to have this southerly flow here, and that will be bringing moist, warm air up. So we're going to have a fairly warm period through the early to midweek. And then as that system goes through, it's going to cool things down. And that's very typical of what I expect for the next 2 to 3 weeks, these type of systems where we're going to be having variations in temperature. But for the week, for the entire week, the next 5 days, it looks like we're going to average a bit above normal and maybe even well above normal over the far upper Midwest. Now, the second period, 6 to 10 days out, November 12th through 17th, Looks like the jet stream will overall dip a bit further south. I should say sink a little bit further south. So we have that area of blue, and that's going to bring temperatures back towards normal. I really don't see too much of a sign going right out through the 17th of November of either a very deep or prolonged cold spell. So it looks like we're going to be starting out above normal and then getting back closer to normal. So heading into the middle of the month, looks to me like near normal temperatures. Then as we get to the second half of November, the 17th to the 22nd, not much shading here, and that says that these computer models are saying fairly close to normal type conditions of the jet stream. And you don't see much shading here on this map either. This is temperature, and that's saying near normal. So I think even though we're going to have variability, it does look like we're going to have, as we go from the early part to the middle part of the month of November, at least as far as temperatures go, we're going to average out pretty close to normal for middle November. Okay, now here's a precipitation forecast. I showed you that frontal system that's going through that's fairly strong. Area of low pressure is going to enhance precipitation on the north side of it, and that's going to bring a swath of about an inch of rain through a fairly narrow region of eastern Nebraska across central Iowa up into the Great Lakes. And that's going to be the action spot this week. Every place else across the Midwest, a fairly quiet week. So we do see that anomaly for week 1 of green, a bit above normal, everywhere else close to normal or even some patches of yellow below normal. Okay, now let's look at week 2. Here's week 2, week 3, week 4. Not a lot to say. It's a fairly quiet, near normal type precipitation pattern. I'm going to suspect that actually we're going to end up below normal. If we would actually average that up at the end of 4 weeks from now, I think we're going to see more yellow. I'm going to go be a little bit more pessimistic than these models as far as precipitation. So in summary, variable temperatures. We're going to be warming up ahead of this front, cooling off below it, but we're going to average the week out a bit above normal. We're going to have a chance of some midweek rain, especially in that one axis over the central Corn Belt. But overall, if I look at the bigger picture going right through the rest of the month of November, looks to me like we're looking at a quiet pattern, variable temperatures, but overall fairly close to normal as far as temperatures and precipitation. Nothing extreme or prolonged one way or the other. Now that could change. It goes a long way out. I'll let you know if I see something. But right now it looks like fairly uneventful. Have a great week. I'll be briefing you again next weekend.